Paolo Banchero was drafted with the first pick just 842 days ago. Since December 6, 2022, the Magic have went 76-63, which ranks above teams like the Mavericks and Pelicans. The Magic got the 5th seed last season and forced a 7-game series with Donovan Mitchell and the Cavaliers. 21-year-old Paolo made an all-star appearance in just his second season, while Franz, who was 22 last year, was on the cusp of averaging 20 a game. Just 2 players in the rotation were older than 27 years old, and this is the first competent era of the Magic since the Dwight Howard days. Surely, Orlando is appreciated by the media and fans recognize them as one of the up-and-coming great teams in the league. Last season, they were scheduled just 5 national TV games, which ranked 25th, and just 1 non-NBA TV national game, tied for last. Despite finishing 4th in votes among players and 5th amongst the media, Paolo ranked 6th in All-Star fan votes amongst Eastern frontcourt players. I've never seen a first overall pick that has lived up to, potentially even exceeded his expectations, being this disrespected by the media and fans. We need to realize how good Paolo Banchero actually is. Last season, Paolo Banchero averaged 22.6 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 5.4 assists while playing 80 games. Yeah, Banchero was an Iron Man. He finished 5th in total minutes at 2,798.7, the most out of any All-Star. He still finished top 25 in minutes per game, and with extremely important rotational pieces like Franz and Wendell Carter Jr. missing some time throughout the year, Paolo was consistently there, especially after his slow start, as starting in December he averaged 23.6, 7.1, and 5.6. Banchero was one of just 16 players with 1,800 points last year, and when expanding that to 550 rebounds and 400 assists, he joins an illustrious group of 4, with just Jokic, Luka, and Giannis, the 3 players many know as the top 3 in the league and have led their respective teams to the finals in the last few seasons. Paolo is one of just 2 to make more than 93s. He is elite, even when converting it to points per game. With 22.5 points, 6.5 boards, and 5 assists, Paolo is just one of just 8, with the other 7 being Luka, Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, LeBron, Durant, and Randall, and one of just 6 to play the whole season and put up those stats. Paolo's scoring is criminally underrated, and let me explain why. Yes, coming from someone who uses a lot of stats in their videos, this does not look the best, but you can't use stats at face value at times. People always mention his percentage near the rim. That doesn't really matter that much when looking at other things. Averaging 22.6 points per game with this Magic offense is insanely impressive and something that a lot of other 20-point per game guys can't do. Orlando averaged 110.5 points last season, which ranked 24th among all teams. They also ranked 24th in 3-point percentage and dead last in threes made. Orlando has the 22nd ranked offensive rating and was 27th in pace, the 4th slowest in the league. This team had no spacing, no main offensive creator as a playmaker, as Paolo led the team in assists and played insanely slow, yet Paolo was still able to put up these numbers. He might not be the most efficient finisher yet, but let's not act like the cards aren't completely against him. At 6'10", 250 with a jumper, he can score in so many different ways, making him one of the most versatile scorers at that height. His 3-point percentage jumped from 29.8% to 33.9% just last season. Within another couple years, he can become a legit 3-point threat, especially when considering 2.6 of the 4.4 attempts were pull-up threes. Now defensively, Paolo might already be a star. He generated 4 defensive win shares, 10th in the league. Despite playing all of his minutes at either the 4 or the 5, he had a defensive field goal percentage of 48.3%, and he even stepped it up in the playoffs, going down to 43.9%. He's mobile enough to stay with faster players on the perimeter, but has the size to post up with bigger guys and compete with them in the paint. His defense was a big part of how good Orlando was on that end, ranking 3rd in defensive rating and 4th in opponents' points per game. But on a historical scale, just how good is Paolo at this age? There have only been 32 seasons ever, with 22.6 points, 6.9 rebounds, 5.4 assists, and 1.5 threes per game in a season before, and only 12 players, the other 11 being Kobe, Boogie, Luka, KD, PG, Blake Griffin, Harden, LeBron, Randall, Antoine Walker, and Russ, a group with 102 combined All-Star appearances. But among that group, Paolo is just the 2nd youngest, the only player younger being Luka Doncic, also in his 2nd year. When looking at Paolo's totals of 1,804 points, 554 boards, 431 assists, and 119 threes, only 13 other times that has been done in NBA history and by 7 other players, and he is tied for the youngest. The other player, LeBron James. Many have compared Paolo to LeBron, and though he will most likely never be as good, the comparison actually does make sense. Paolo is 6'10", 250, while LeBron is listed at 6'9", 250. They are both versatile scorers with good playmaking and the ability to just drive inside and force your way to a basket while being able to defend nearly anybody. Though nobody will be LeBron, Paolo might just be the closest we have ever seen to him, and as the shot progresses, they look increasingly similar. While Paolo is good, it may take his team doing even better to get more respect, so how good was Orlando last season? Quietly, they were one of the best teams and took a massive jump from the previous year, going from 34 to 47 wins, a 13-win jump, and from 13th to 5th in the division. Most people didn't expect it, but there were signs, and I will gladly show that I thought Orlando would be legit and even predicted them to win 50 games. And while they didn't quite reach that mark, they were just 3 games away and shocked the NBA world. In the 22-23 season, the Magic started as one of the worst teams in the league, sitting at 5-20 in early December, sitting last in the league, even below the Pistons. But over the next 5 months, they were not bad, even maybe good, going 29-24 until the last 4 games, where they sat most of their rotation, including Paolo, who played just one of those 4 games. But 29-24 over 53 games is a large enough sample size to realize how good this team was. That's more than half a season. But because of the atrocious start, nobody recognized it. From December 6, 2022 to April 3, 2023, Orlando had the 11th best record in the league and had a positive plus-minus. Last season, their defense was insane, as we mentioned before, but this team was in some insane fights for placements in the standings that shocked fans, but again did not get that much respect. While they were fighting to make it out of the play-in during the first couple months of the calendar year, this team actually fought for the 2nd seed throughout March and April before ending up at 5. And even in the playoffs, they fought hard. Orlando was down 0-2 and came back and forced a Game 7 against a much more experienced Cavaliers team that had the best player in the series in Spida. And despite Paolo scoring 38 points with 16 rebounds in Game 7, Franz Wagner shot 1 for 15, Donovan Mitchell dropped 39, and Cleveland took over in the start of the second half, covering up a Game 7 masterclass by Banchero. It was a heartbreaking way for the season to end, but taking Cleveland to 7 after most fans didn't think they would have a chance is still very impressive, and Paolo was great in the playoffs. He averaged 27 points, 8.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.1 steals, and 2.3 threes per game. The only player to put up those stats in the first round, and only 2 other players could put up those stats during a playoff series this year, Luka and Tatum in their conference finals. A rough Game 4 performance brings down those stats, but it didn't matter as they still won that game, and when it mattered most, Paolo always showed up. With 31, 14, and 5 on 13 for 26 shooting while down 0-2 in a Game 3 victory, or 39, 8, 4, and 16 in the fourth quarter in a narrow Game 5 loss that could have given Orlando a 3-2 lead, or the previously mentioned Game 7. Paolo did everything he could. Oh yeah, this Cleveland team that Paolo did all this against ranks 7th in defensive rating and opponents' points per game during the regular season. But why is Paolo not getting any respect? Well, it's for a few reasons, one of which is that it's Orlando. The Magic are a small market team and the clearly less liked team compared to the other team in the state, the Miami Heat. The Magic also don't play a style of basketball that appealing to the casual fan, as they are a slower, more defensively driven team compared to the Thunder, who are fast-paced with extroverted personalities. And that leads into my next point. Paolo is not that animated of a guy. You don't see many clips of him off the court or in a press conference saying some crazy stuff, and other players usually are. Of course, we saw that Paolo clip cursing after he injured his foot, but you don't see many clips like that from Paolo. The Magic's slow start during Paolo's career is also a big cause, as fans never initially cared about Orlando during the start of the 22-23 season. The hype around the next draft class, and more specifically Victor Wembanyama, has also covered up a lot of how good Banchero has been. While the 2022 draft was nice, Wemby was one of the most hyped prospects in NBA history, and fans were ready for him to come into the league. While all these reasons make sense, it still shouldn't be happening. The first overall pick made an All-Star appearance in just his second season and led a team that was previously one of the worst in the league to the playoffs and dominated once there. Let's give Paolo his respect, as Orlando and Banchero will be contenders in just a few seasons.